Hi everyone. Graphs are everywhere. In social media, Google Maps, and circuits. Let's explore how to represent and traverse them. And don't worry, we won't get lost in the graph unless you're a tourist in a new city. Hi everyone. Graphs are everywhere. In social media, Google Maps, and circuits. Let's explore how to represent and traverse them. A graph is made up of vertices or nodes. So each of these are basically nodes and edges, which are links. For example, this right here is an edge. This again is an edge. Types are basically directed or an undirected graph. So we can have basically a directed or undirected graph. We can have weighted or unweighted graph. Before that, directed graph basically represents a graph where you have these edges that point to each other. For example, F5 to F1 is represented by a directed line. So this is an arrow that goes from F5 to F1. So this is directed. An undirected graph, on the other hand, would not have any arrows. So basically, each edge would basically just be just one line without any arrow sign. So you can move from F5 to F1 or F1 to F5. Then we have weighted or unweighted graphs. So we have weighted / unweighted graphs. So weighted graphs are graphs which have weights. For example, W1 is one weight, W2 is another weight. So for each edge, right, there is a number, basically an integer, which can be from anywhere from 0 to infinite. And what happens is this weight is what is basically sort of like, you can say, it's sort of like a number that is multiplied whenever we want to find, let's say, a path. For example, it could be like we want to find a shortest path between F5 to F2, right? In order to do this, we might say that which path has the least cost. We want to minimize cost, let's say, right? So let's say this is 2 and this is 3. So we'll definitely choose the one with the less cost, right? So therefore we will go from F5 to F1, not F5 to F4. And then the third type, so this is weighted graph. Unweighted graphs would not have any weights. So there will be no weights. And then we have the third type, which is cyclic and acyclic graphs. So cyclic / cyclic. So we have cyclic and acyclic graphs. Acyclic graphs basically means that it is, let's say you have these three nodes. So now a cyclic graph would basically mean that it's a closed loop, right? So we can go from the start and come back to the start again. Whereas in an acyclic graph, will not be able to come from the start node and again reach the start node. That would not happen. Let's move on to the next topic. So basically we have what we call as, this is basically like basically an adjacency matrix, right? So we have what we call as an adjacency matrix right here. So what this means is basically a 2D list, right? So we can say that it's sort of like a 2D list where we have these three values, right? So 2, 3, 3, 4, and 4, 5, right? It's a 2D list, which is basically 3 cross 2. So 3 rows and 2 columns, right? So adjacency list can be basically a list or a dictionary. In Python, you can have a list or you can have a dictionary. So dictionary is represented by quotes, by a colon. And then we have, so adjacency matrices are easy for dense graphs, but waste space for sparse ones. Adjacency lists are way more efficient in Python. So an adjacency matrix basically represents what we call as the weights, right? So the weights are represented by an adjacency matrix. Now let's look at traversal algorithms. A graph is made up of vertices, nodes, and edges, links. Types: directed, undirected, weighted, unweighted, cyclic, acyclic. It's like a roadmap, but instead of road, we have edges. Adjacency matrices are easy for dense graphs, but waste space for sparse ones. Adjacency lists are more efficient. It's like choosing the right tool for the job, or in this case, the right representation for the graph. Traversal means visiting all nodes. BFS explores level by level, like waves. DFS goes deep first, then backtracks. It's like exploring a new city or a new graph. Try this at home. It's how interview questions are asked. And don't worry if you get stuck. It's all part of the learning process. Graphs let us represent networks. Algorithms like BFS and DFS help us traverse them. Why did the graph go to therapy? Because it was feeling a little disconnected. Why did the edge go to the party? Because it was a connecting
So now
experience.
we have
Why did the adjacency matrix go to the doctor? It had a sparse condition. Why did the BFS algorithm go to the beach? To catch some waves. Don't worry if you get stuck. Just remember, graphing is believing.
so now we have what we call as the breadth first search or the BFS. So in a BFS, let's say you have, let's say, a binary tree, right? So you may ask, what is a binary tree? So this is what we call as a binary tree, where we basically have each node, and each node separates out or branches out into two nodes, and then it goes on subdividing further, right? So the way breadth first search or BFS works is, so this is called as breadth first search. Breadth first search. So breadth first search basically works by traversing level by level. So it goes like this, then it comes like this, and then that's how we traverse. Whereas when we take the case of DFS, right, or depth first search, so DFS would basically work by going deep and then backtracking. So this works by first exploring one single edge, then coming back to the first node, and then again exploring the second one, and then going up, then exploring the third branch. That is how it works. So this is what intuitively a DFS looks like. Now, when we look at the code, right? So this is the code for the BFS, so breadth first search. What we do is first we import our DQ. So we'll be using a queue, right? So queue basically works in a first in first out fashion. The way it works is, let's say you have a number entering here into the queue. So you have 1, 2, and 3. So 1 will get removed first. Then you have second will go next, and third, and then we have 4 that will come inside. So this is how a queue works, right? So this is a DQ. Now we'll look at the BFS function itself. So in the BFS function, it takes in two inputs, graph and start. Then we have the visited. So visited is basically to keep a check on the visited nodes. So this is a set. A set is basically a set of unique elements. So each element in a set will be unique. You cannot have duplicates. So 3 and 3 cannot be there. So we maintain a queue. So DQ in start, and we basically place the start node here inside of DQ.
And then each time we visit a node, we add it to the start. We basically first add the start node to the visited set because we have first visited the start node, right? Here. Now we iterate through the queue, right? So what we do is we pop this out. So we basically remove this element from the queue since we have already visited it, right? So pop left does that. Then we print the node. So we print the node that we visited. So it could be one. So this node is printed. Now for neighbor in graph node, right? So we check its neighbors. So this nodes, we check this neighbor. So this is one neighbor and this is the second neighbor, right? So we check if neighbor not in visited. So if the neighbor is not in the visited node, what we do is we add the neighbors to the queue. So we'll add this first and then we'll add this first, right? We add the neighbor to the queue and then queue dot append neighbor. So what this does is we add the neighbor to the queue, right? We add this neighbor to the queue and we also add the neighbor to the visited set that we had because we have already visited it. So once we have visited it, what happens is again it goes back to the first one, this line, right? Now q dot pop left. So again, this will pop it off. So we have already seen this. And similarly, this is how the algorithm continues, right? Until we reach the end of the node. So once we are traversed and we have, done a breadth first search, and this is the graph. This is how the graph looks like. This is simply like an adjacency matrix. So A's neighbors are B and C, B's neighbors are D and E, and so on, right? So this is, let's say this is A, this is B, this is C, this is D, this is E, and this is F. So we print BFS traversal, and then we basically call the BFS function here. So this is how the algorithm for breadth first search looks like. Let's move Graphs on. Let us represent networks. Algorithms like BFS and DFS help us traverse them. Next would be Boolean algebra. Stay tuned. It's going to be logically amazing. So why did the graph go to the therapy? Because it was feeling a little disconnected. But don't worry, we'll connect the dots soon. And who needs GPS when you can have graphs? But don't worry, we'll fill in the blanks soon. And why did the DFS algorithm go to the library? To get a little depth knowledge. And if you're just stuck, just nod your head and try again. And don't forget, graphs are like pizza, they are always connected and delicious. Okay, so practice task. Try this at home. It's how interview questions are asked. Draw your own graph of 6 cities. Second, write the adjacency list. And third, trace BFS manually. So recap and closing. Graphs let us present networks, algorithms, DFS goes deep, then backtracks. Why did the BFS algorithm go to the beach? To catch some weights. Adjacency matrices are easy for dense graphs, but waste space for sparse ones. Adjacency lists are more efficient. And why did the adjacency matrix go to the doctor? It had a sparse condition. To recap, graphs let us represent networks. Algorithms like BFS and DFS help us traverse them. The next topic for the next lecture is Boolean algebra. Look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow.